there. Hi, it's good to see you again. Um, and good to have you here with us today. For those that are here, I think, Hood up, we've got a small crowd kind of trickling in.
Yeah, we do. But you know what? It usually takes them a few minutes, but let's get started. Whatever they miss, they can catch in the recording.
Okay, that sounds good. Hey, Ryan, we're going to go ahead and record this because then it
Sure.
lives forever on YouTube.
Oh
So,
God.
and it does get edited. So if you have anything you need edited out, we'll talk about that. No worries about that. But
No
um,
problem.
I I want to go ahead and welcome everybody that's here with us tonight. Thank you for joining us on 6:30 Eastern Time. We're happy to have you at the Be On Air Forum, which is our professional development series with the focus on your professional development and networking in the media industry. For those of you who have not met me before, my name is Linda Lejeski. I am the National Employer Representative for the Be On Air network of media schools, which is our 7 schools, 3 in Ohio, Cleveland, Columbus, and Cincinnati, 2 in Chicago, 1 in suburban Chicago, 1 in Denver, Colorado, and our flagship school, which are not our flagship, I'm sorry, our newest school, which is down in Miami, Miami Media School. For those of you here, I just want to let you know that we will have our cameras turned off as we go through Ryan's presentation. Mics are turned off, but when we get to Q&A, we'll open the mic so you have a chance to ask your questions. Just for basic housekeeping, leaving the cameras on tend to be a distraction, so we're going to keep that at a minimal. Our guest tonight is Ryan Sudol. I hope I'm saying that right, Ryan.
You
Did I
are.
get that last name right? Okay, Ryan is a graduate of Illinois Media School, the Lombard campus. He's a graduate September 3rd, 2003. And so in his almost 20 years since graduation, he's had the great fortune of growing a really interesting career, which has really been focused on his ability to network and to grow and to meet many people in the industry that have opened doors to him because he is that kind of guy. He's that guy that wants to continue to learn and he wants to grow in his profession. And as a result, he's met some great people along the way. He's got amazing stories to tell, and he's very excited to be here to share a story. What I found to be one of my favorite parts about meeting Ryan was really how he got started. And I'm going to let him share that story with you. But, I think it's a good story about the importance of networking and why you will find as you get into the industry, if you're not in it already, it's kind of a small world out there. And so you want to be really careful about the relationships that you make, and you want to hold them dear because you never know where you're going to be calling on that relationship. So we just have a short period of time with Ryan because he's got to move on to a game tonight. He's coming to us from his phone so that he can give us his undivided attention for a while here. Ryan, I'm going to let you take it away, and you could talk about all the wonderful things and the people you've worked with. And for our guests here, enjoy your time with Ryan. I know you're going to learn a lot from him. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much, Linda. So first off, my name is Ryan Sudol. I went to the Illinois, at the time it was the Illinois Center for Broadcasting, September '03 nights. Originally, I wanted to go to film school, and I had my paperwork ready to go to Columbia College in Chicago, but the part-time job I had at the time, all I did was drive around in a truck and listen to radio for 8 hours. My original passion was news talk radio. For those of you in the Chicago area, I originally applied at a WLS 890 AM, and then got turned away from that internship, and then interviewed at ESPN 1000 for an internship and got turned away for that one. And my third choice ended up being 670 The Score. So after only being at now Illinois Media School for 3 months, I was already interning at the #1 sports radio station in Chicago as a 19-year-old kid. I did not go to a 4-year university. I didn't want to. I knew what I wanted to do. I wanted to work in something entertainment related. Turned out that was radio and television broadcasting, and for the most of the career to start, it was radio. Then after I started at the Score, it was January of 2004, so I was still enrolled at the school. We didn't graduate until, I believe, August. But 3 months into interning, I mean, there was There were days, obviously, the intern programs now are totally different because they can't use and abuse free labor. There were days that I would show up at the radio station at 4 a.m. on a Friday, and I would not leave until Sunday night at 10 o'clock, only to be back Monday morning at 4 a.m. sometimes. And this was between juggling waitering jobs and stuff like that, just, to try to make your mark at the station and be seen as visible. After about 3 months at the Score, since I was there basically Monday through Friday every morning, or at least 3 mornings a week, the sports director at the time, Andy Garcia, was like, would you like to, we need an extra body in the control room on opening day for Cubs opening day. Would you like to get paid for being here? Because interns back then did not get paid. And this is 2004. So I was like, well, yeah, I'd love to get paid. So went from being a part-timer, now working 2 to 3 times a week. And again, after just putting in so much extra work and just being visible for as much as I could be at the station, I got hired as a full-timer. What I got hired on for full-time was actually running the website as web media and podcasting started coming out. But I was still producing at the time for Mully and Hanley and the Bears postgame show, as well as other weekend shifts. But, just basically busting my butt, 60 to 80 hours a week as a 19, 20-year-old kid. And just absolutely loving life. I mean, that led to a job at the country music station in Chicago as well, because it was all part of CBS Radio. Got to host a couple on-air shifts. I remember getting called in to cover my first Chicago Marathon back in 2006, which was the first time I ever got a chance to be like on air as a reporter. Covered a few other races in Chicago. And then in 2008, when I was 24 years old, so this would have been 14 years ago, almost to the day. It was August 13th, 2008. I got called into the station president's office and was told that I was no longer going to be employed. Obviously, being 24 and on air, you have a hot head and everything like that. And so it got the better of me, and I thought I was going to be done in radio. One of the things my first teacher at Illinois Media School said, he was like, you're not in the radio business until you've been fired. So I remember walking back to Union Station in Chicago with a box of all my stuff from my desk in my office. And I made a phone call to the program director, who was not the guy who directly fired me, but his name was Mitch Rosen. And I just called him and I thanked him. And I said, Mitch, I know we didn't always see eye to eye. But if it wasn't for you, I never would have gotten on air. I never would have had any opportunities to make a demo tape. So I just want you to know I appreciate everything you've done for me. Hung up. Didn't speak to him for 2 years. In that 2-year gap period before I made the move to Florida, I got to work with Northern Illinois football because of the guy that initially hired me as an intern at 670 The Score. He also worked with Northern Illinois football, so I got to be the internal public address announcer, which isn't a very glorious position. It's just talking on a microphone for the reporters and the people in the press box, relaying plays to them. So I did that for 2 football seasons, and finally got an interview with a job at CBS in Tampa, Florida. And my mom moved to Sarasota, Florida in 2002, which is only about an hour drive. So I got an interview, and the guy told me, he was like, it's not a luxurious position. It's going to be a lot of driving for not a lot of pay. And I was like, you know what? I need to change. So I packed up my bags and moved to Florida. So I had a Northern Illinois football game, November 9th of 2010. November 10th, I drove down to Florida with everything in my life in a small little Chrysler LeBaron, and I even stopped at the radio station before I even got to my mom's house to move everything in to do my orientation, because I was supposed to start the following Monday. And so I go through my orientation and then pull up to my mom's house, and I get a phone call that shook me. And it was the program director in Tampa saying, hey, Ryan, because of the nature of the way you were fired in Chicago, we're not allowed to hire you. And I stopped in my tracks, and they said, the only way that you can work here is if your old program director thinks it's a good idea. So 2 years later, I'm making the same call to Mitch, who's still the program director at 670 The Score. And he texted me and he said, what's up? And I left him a voicemail. I said, look, I just moved my whole life to Florida, and CBS Tampa is saying that I can't work here unless you say it's okay. I said, if you say no, I totally understand and still appreciate everything you've done for me. If you say yes, then I greatly appreciate it. Longest 15 minutes of my life was waiting for the call back from CBS Tampa, and it was my program director, and he said, you start Monday. So that started 2 years at a station called 1010 Sports here in Tampa, St. Pete, which no longer exists. It made a flip to FM back in 2012 at 98.7 The Fan, which I was in the room for when they flipped the switch, which was also a cool experience to be there as a radio station is kind of birthed. And then through my work with 98.7 The Fan, there's a historic soccer team here. At the time, they were in the North American Soccer League. They were on 1010 Sports for radio production. So I got to be with the team in 2011, and then in 2012, when the station flipped to 98.7 The Fan, the Rowdies had an opening for a public address announcer. And I filled in for the original public address guy because he got moved over to play-by-play. And then, so we got a 2012 championship, the NASL Soccer Bowl. So I got to do 6 games in the 2012 season, including the championship. And then the next year, I got a phone call asking if I wanted to do every game of the season. So I've been the voice of the Rowdies now since 2012, done over 160 games in one of the most beautiful stadiums in American soccer. But also through that, going back to the radio job, that was lost a week before Christmas 2012 because I had complained about pay, which again is something, it's a kind of a culture shock coming from Chicago radio to Tampa radio. But I had, there were some days when the FM sports station launched that I would host from midnight to 5 and noon to 4 in the same day, which is not easy to talk for 9 hours at any given time. But I was still making my producer salary while other people were getting additional pay. So I had complained about that, and the program director said, well, we can't have that kind of negative attitude. And then there I was out of radio again. So essentially I was doing nothing except the public address announcing for the Rowdies, which is still the reason I wake up on Saturday mornings. And then just through then, a lot of freelance work has come about. 2 years while I was with the Rowdies, there was a soccer play-by-play event down at IMG Academy, which I'll get into a little later. But I got to do my first soccer play-by-play, which ended up leading to doing international tournaments with CONCACAF, who is the organization that is in control of all the soccer federations, U.S. soccer, Mexican soccer, Canada soccer, all the Caribbean islands and whatnot. So I actually got to call, for those of you that are soccer fans, a USA-Mexico 2-0, which is the most famous scoreline for the rivalry between the USA and Mexico team. I got to do that about 4 years ago. And then just other crazy things, just from networking and asking questions. I worked at a Sam Ash music store in 2014 after having gotten done doing some camera work with U.S. soccer. And a guy came in and he had a tax exempt form. And I asked him, I was like, oh, what is public television services? And he says, oh, we make military documentaries. And I was like, oh, I just got done doing camera work for U.S. soccer. And he's like, oh, it's too bad you work at Sam Ash. I'm looking for someone to go to Europe for 3 weeks to film a military documentary. So I said, here's my phone number. If this place won't let me take 3 weeks off to take a once-in-a-lifetime trip, I don't want to work for this company. So I got a free trip to Europe, got to travel and see Normandy and all the Band of Brothers tour of Europe with a World War II veteran, and just one of the most humbling and amazing experiences ever. Came back, and then just one opportunity after the next started kind of unfolding. There was a small Catholic high school in Sarasota, Florida, that had a need for a high school football play-by-play and basketball play-by-play announcer. So I started doing that with somebody who used to do it that I worked with at the 1010 sports station. So everything's kind of still intertwined. So I did the Catholic high school for about 2 or 3 years. And then IMG Academy decided they were going to start broadcasting football. So I got brought in to interview for that. And the rest kind of just spiraled out of craziness because I had no idea what IMG Academy was at the time. I knew it was a boarding school that hosts 9 sports. Starting next year, it's going to be 10. But the football program is known for producing some of the most Division I talent in the world. All sports, Serena Williams, Maria Sharapova, Andre Agassi, they all went there. And now the football program has been around for about 10 years. This is my 8th season with the national team as well, and they've only lost 3 games in my 8 seasons. So I'm blessed to be able to call their games as well as the other varsity teams. They have 4 teams in total on the football side, 11 basketball teams, but we usually only broadcast the national team for basketball. But then probably one of the craziest instances in my career was the COVID shutdown. Because we were sitting at spring training with the Tampa Bay Rays, who I work with now. They actually bought the Rowdies back in 2019, and I was the backup public address announcer for spring training. And just by happenstance, I went down for my interview for the first season that I was going to be the backup public address announcer for a Major League Baseball team. And my boss was like, well, do you want to work all spring training? And I was like, yeah. And it wasn't just as an announcer. I mean, I'd worked in radio for, almost a decade, and I didn't know that these in-game entertainment positions exist, that you get to utilize your tools that you learn at the media school, whether it be running a switchboard for like a news switcher, a replay operator, camera operator, like all these skills that you use because when I went to the Illinois Center for Broadcasting, it was mostly for people that wanted to be on air, but there's so many other jobs that can stem from that. So 2020, during spring training, the COVID shutdown happened March 12th. I still remember it like it was yesterday. It was like, for anyone that works in game entertainment, everything stopped. And then just slowly, as stuff started to restart, the WNBA was actually going to be hosted down at IMG Academy, which was one of the best joys of living in Florida. Those of you that might be in the Miami area know that there was no better place if you work in sports to work than in Florida, because it was the only place where sports were happening, whether it was the NBA bubble down in Orlando or the WNBA bubble. And my connection with the WNBA wasn't even in a broadcast capacity. I was the guy that runs out on the court and starts mopping for WNBA players. I was there for the championship game. It was a very, very cool experience. And then with my experience with the WNBA, when the Toronto Raptors had to play in Tampa Bay because they couldn't play in Canada, I got a call from the Raptors to do the same thing with them. So I go from having never worked in the NBA before to now having worked with the Toronto Raptors, the WNBA, and now I'm on the court mopping the floor and rebounding for NBA All-Stars, which was also a very cool thing that I never expected to do. But just, I mean, all the other events, from just the more people you meet, the more phone numbers you acquire and have a good relationship with. No is a word that early on in your career you should probably never say, just because there's so many opportunities that can open up from just even asking questions or saying, hey, here's my phone number. If you ever need someone that needs this or needs someone that has this particular skill set, let me know. And you don't have to be annoying about it and, peppering people with, constant emails. But the more you're available, the more you're going to get called on to ask. And getting to work with the Tampa Bay Rays now, just everybody that works for a Tampa Bay sports team, usually they don't just work with one. A lot of the people that work with the Rays also work with the Rowdies. And then we also have a lot of people in the control room tonight that work with the Lightning and the Buccaneers as well. So, once you get that first foot in the door, it's very important that you kick it open. Make yourself available. There's just so many other things that, in now going on close to my 20th year of working in broadcast. I've worked U.S. Soccer, the women's national team. I've worked 4 games for, arguably the greatest women's team of all time. I've gotten to do play-by-play for Major League Soccer, Chicago Fire, Toronto FC, New York Red Bulls, even Tottenham Hotspur from the English Premier League. They also train down at IMG Academy too. So I've been blessed with an opportunity to work with some of the greatest athletes in the world and just see some of the, those of you that are music fans, you like to know a band before they blow up. And that's essentially kind of what IMG is with, tomorrow's sports stars. I've gotten to see 200 Division I football players and 25 NFL players in my first 3 draft eligible years. So it's been an incredible experience. And it all started, September 03 nights as a guy that wanted to be a top 40 DJ, and then turned into a sports talk host. And then you just find out there's a whole other world of people that need people with broadcast technical skills as well, not just having the voice to do something. But I've gotten a phone call to work a Westminster Kennel Club fastest dog competition. That was some of the most money I ever made for a 2-day trip. It was just absolutely incredible. But I mean, having gotten to work for the Chicago Blackhawks, Bears, White Sox, I do some play-by-play down here for USF football. Just again, from every person you meet is another potential job opportunity, and it all goes back. Again, I always tell people when they ask if the sports broadcasting world is worth it, you will get out of it what you put into it. Because I can tell you, there's probably more than a few kids from my class that didn't stick with it because they just kind of wanted it to be a hobby. But if you dedicate your life to making it a part of your life, it can be very, very beneficial, especially when you get out of the day-to-day radio world, which now mostly I do not partake in day-to-day sports talk radio or any kind of news radio or anything like that. But my life is so much more full because I attend probably close to 120 sporting events a year and get paid to do it as well. And there's worse job to have than getting paid to watch sports and talk about sports. But it's been a very incredible ride, and I always enjoy getting an opportunity to come back and answer questions as well, and just share my experience. And there's been so many things in 18, 19 years of stories and athletes that you run into or anything like that, and it's just it's a very fun and fulfilling job. And there are definitely some valleys, times where I wanted to quit and had to look for potentially getting a quote unquote real job. But the media school experience and just even the 9 or 10 months that you're there at school, you have to kind of absorb everything as quick as you can, because you never know when you're going to have to use it in a professional setting. And I love coming back and getting to share my experience and hopefully inspire at times. But I absolutely love everything I do. Again, the tough times are tough, but the great times, I mean, the championships that you potentially win, the times that you're on ESPN, you're there for a walk-off home run or something like that. It's tough to beat what I do now. Working in the Rays video boardroom, which is, you can see Tropicana Field behind me. It's just a picture that I use. So we have a video board control room. Again, these are jobs I did not know existed back in 2004 when I started working in sports radio. I didn't even know they existed until about 2017. But there's about 18 people in the video board control room who control different aspects of the video board, cameramen, music operations, and stuff like that. And tonight, that's just kind of one of those things I did because of COVID, though. I did get to be a public address announcer for the Tampa Bay Rays for 4 games last year, which is also a thrill because that's only a job that, a handful, about, 30 people in the country have. And when they come up, they don't often turn over. The guy that is currently the PA announcer here, Greg Khalil, he's been here for a little over 10 years. So to get to fill his shoes, even for just 4 games, was quite a thrill. And again, that just happened from just being available. So it's been a fun run. That's pretty much my quick 20-year career in about as much as I could in 20 minutes. So if Linda's okay with it, I will go ahead and open it up for questions. Oh, I can't hear you, Linda.
You're muted, Linda.
Okay, give me a second. Okay,
all right,
I do that a lot. Sorry about that. I smiled through your whole presentation. You absolutely inspired me, and I have to believe everybody listening feels the same way. So we're going to go ahead and open it up for the people that are here. If you want to raise your hand, please feel free. We'll get your mics open for some questions. I know we have a couple of sports people that are hanging out with us. Who's going to come up to the mic?
Hello, Ryan.
Hello.
Here, let me open up my camera if I can. It's not giving me the option.
Don't
well,
worry.
Ryan, I just want to say it's a really pleasure to meet you, and really cool to hear your story. I graduated from Illinois Media School at the Lombard campus back in 2020. So yeah, right when COVID hit, that's when I was, on campus, learning how to really make my mark in the media world. And I got to say, it's only my second year in my career, and I got to say, it's been paying off. My dream is also to make it in this field for the next 20 or so years. And I currently work for the Chicago Dogs. I do media relations and
Oh,
social media,
nice.
and baseball is my passion. So I just wanted to ask you, someone coming up from the independent leagues, what what would you give advice to someone coming up for a 162 game schedule, or something much longer than 100 games that I work for?
Honestly, if you have any friends that work for either the Cubs or the White Sox or even the Brewers or anywhere else, just stay on them, and also keep an eye on the. Make sure you're signed on to teamworkonline.com, because that is such a valuable website as far as when job postings come up. Because there's a lot of people that work in our control room that started as fan hosts, which are the people that just show up and show people to their seats and stuff like that, and just being there gave them the opportunity to kind of ask questions and work their way up as well. So if you know anybody that works with the Cubs or the White Sox, or any of the Facebook message boards too, for either play-by-play people or sports entertainment workers and stuff like that, just again, it's about being visible. And the worst thing that can happen if you apply for something is they say no. And it shouldn't be downhearted. Like, it shouldn't get you downhearted at all, because again, you're going to get a whole lot more no's in this business than you do yeses. But once you get that first yes, I mean, it's about staying there and making your footprint and working your way up.
Thank you, Ryan. I have a couple other questions. You said that, to really ensure your spot in wherever you're working, I've kind of learned that you got to be better than yourself the day before. What are some things that you do to improve your skills, or to sharpen it?
It's honestly, it's pretty much at this point just almost it's kind of like riding a bike. I mean, I just went 7-8 months without doing play-by-play for a high school football game, and I noticed my first game back was a little bit rusty as well. But it's basically just kind of keeping your mind sharp. We all have struggles, whether it be everybody has their own personal struggles, and I'm not free from that as well. But it just the ability to just kind of wake up and know that you love doing what you do every day. Because I also, on the side, I still wait tables. I mean, this definitely helps pay the bills, but it's they don't play the sports that I work in don't operate 365 days a year. So that's why I kind of have the hustle of working for 3, 4, 5 different teams at a time.
I love that, Ryan. I got one last question. I know I want to give
Sure.
everyone the time to talk. But what is the best way to kind of ensure job security and where you're working, and how do you make yourself stand out amongst your peers?
Um, the sad thing is there really is no such thing as job security, because, for example, everything in the Rays control room is kind of fairly easy, but it's also fairly easy to mess up too. So keeping those little details to not screw up, like if you're working in game presentation, if you have a job and your job is to not misspell something, don't misspell something. That's going to go up on the video board, and just little stuff like that. And again, whenever someone asks you to do something, whether it's hopefully it's paid, but if they ask you to do something unpaid, again, saying yes a lot of the time will just ensure your visibility. And the day that you say no, if they can't find anyone else to do it for you, I mean, there's they'll see your value. The longer that you are, the longer you're doing a good job, it will get noticed.
Thank you so much for your time, Ryan. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, man.
Okay, nice job. Let's move to Jason.
Hello, Mr. Sudol. How you doing?
Doing well.
That's good to hear. That's good to hear. So, my name is Jason Young. I'm a recent graduate from Ohio Media School, and I have had some opportunities where I've worked and did some work for a local soccer team, Acre City FC team,
Okay.
in the professional soccer rings. Never thought I'd ever be doing that type of work, but I was doing camera work for soccer, and it was just wild, and I enjoyed it. My question to you is, oh, and also I did basketball, high school games, and now I'm getting the opportunities to football games. My question to you is, you mentioned that there was a time where you was at a stage where you had to get a quote unquote real job, or was thinking about it? And I know that feeling, and I want to know from you, like, how did you stay motivated to still continue on your path versus the naysayers, and even doubt starting to creep into your mind? Because I kind of find myself in that
You
situation.
know, it's funny because I like waiting tables for me is also to me another way of networking. Um, like it's not sports related or anything like that, but if someone you're serving finds out you work for a team or something like that, and they say, "Oh, I know this person or I know that person." For me, it's always been um, I've been lucky to have the security of being the voice of the Rowdies for 11 years. I've been the voice of IMG Academy Athletics for the last 8 years, um, and I never take it for granted. Every time I'm on campus at IMG, I pinch myself. But it's some people. I mean, there are some people that still work in TV that also bartend on the weekends or teach during the days. One of the good things about working in sports is that for the most part, most sports don't operate in a 9 to 5 atmosphere. So for me, I work at a breakfast restaurant to where they know that if I have a day baseball game like this Thursday, I'm not coming in. Like the boundaries are set that the sports jobs have a priority. I'm lucky enough to work for a company that does appreciate that as well. But I think one of my favorite things when you were saying about trying to ignore the naysayers is I always have people that tell me oh, your big break is coming up, and I'm like, I get to work for a team that was in the World Series a couple of years ago. I work for one of the most historic soccer brands and the #1 athletic boarding school in the world. It's like, for me, I've kind of made it. My like absolute drop dead dream job would be doing World Cup, either play by play or public address, when they come here in 2026. And it's like, when they're the people that don't understand the business, don't understand what it is to make it, because everyone that works in sports in some capacity, for the most part, I can tell you, feels like they've made it. Like, I think everybody expects that if you want to be a play-by-play guy, that they just assume you want to be on ESPN or Fox Sports, and obviously the pay would be much better and the exposure would be better. But I am perfectly happy calling football for the #1 high school football and #1 high school basketball team in the country every week I get to do it.
Right. Thank you. Thank you
You're
for that.
welcome.
Awesome. Thank you, Ryan. I see Stefan has his hand up. Go ahead, Stefan.
Hello, everybody. It's like 4:30 in California, so
Ooh.
it's a little early for me, late for you guys. I have to figure out like what time zone before this meeting started. It was confusing. But how's it going, Ryan? I'm
Doing
Stefan.
well.
I am a graduate from summer of 2020 during the COVID year. I gotta say it was a gift in disguise graduating from the Illinois Media School due to the fact that, I work in television now. Um, I'm a photographer and editor for CBS Sacramento. And it didn't start off so smooth, but it's going good now. But my question for you is that how do you, like, far as you work multiple jobs. How are you able to do that? If you say your employer may have like conflict of interest rules or stuff like that, because as a photographer, you know, I do, a sports team that may be contracted by our company, but there's other sports teams or other ventures I might want to get into, as far as like maybe working on the radio side for a weekend or something. But our company has like a conflict of interest. Do you have some of those hurdles by any
Uh,
chance?
so for me, I'm lucky in the sense that I have kind of like a priority list in my head that kind of goes based on seniority. So the Rowdies, for me, since I've been with them for 11 years, if there's a Rowdies game on a Saturday, 99.999% I'm going to do that game over a Rays game or an IMG Academy game. And then I've been with IMG for 8 years. So it's like since most of it is freelance, and especially most sports teams that hire part-timers, I don't have any actual like conflict of interest, like where if I worked for the Rays, I couldn't go down and work for the Marlins or something like that. So I don't have to deal with that. For me, but basically my conflicts come from having multiple sporting events on the same day. So, like, for example, this Thursday, I've got a day baseball game at Tropicana Field that I'm working the scoreboard for, and then I have to leave like right at 4 o'clock because I have a high school football game an hour and a half away. And again, as long as you communicate and tell your employers what you're doing, as long as it doesn't affect your work at one job, in my experience, it hasn't been an issue.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. I got time for one or two more, Linda.
Okay, okay. Avala, are you there, hon?
Yes, I am.
Okay, you're up.
I just have quick questions. First quick question is, I didn't get that whole website that you were saying. Look up
It is teamworkonline.com.
Teamwork
It's
Online.
basically where MLB posts all their jobs there. All the yes, teamworkonline.com. All of the major sports teams post jobs there, but also if you go to the sports leagues, if you go to MLB.com, NFL.com, they all have career pages that if you click will have jobs for basically every team, depending on the sport you want to work on, or if there's a town, you can on Teamwork, you can type in the city you want to work in and it'll literally give you every job for every team in the city within a 50-mile radius. And not just teams, but also television networks, arenas, and stuff like that. Because, again, there's more than just, at least on the sports side, there's more than just broadcast jobs and game entertainment jobs. There's also, like if you can't get a job doing something in the entertainment side, you can get like the stadiums that have hockey and basketball, you can get on the flip teams. Which again isn't really anything to do with BeOnAir, but if you want to work in sports, that's a way to get in there, which are the people that go in after a basketball game and they take all the basketball pieces off and leave ice underneath. So there's always those jobs, and you can always, pick and choose the ones you want to apply for. And again, apply for as many as you can. The worst thing that's going to happen is they say no. And again, if they say no, that's fine because your name is now in their list, and you can always check back every 6 months. Some of them have just send in a resume to get a notification, and whenever jobs open up, they'll just send you emails. So it's I love Teamwork Online. I haven't used it in a very long time because I've been fortunate to not have needed it. But everyone I know that works in sports has a resume there.
That's great. That's very valuable advice. And you can check in with your career services if you would like for more information on that. But I love what you say, Ryan, like just be open to any opportunity that gets you in a stadium or gets you around the people you need to be around, because then you have a chance to talk about the things you love. We're going to end it with Mark Pauley, who is another alumni, and then we'll let you run. Mark, welcome.
Yeah, thank you, Ryan. I've been listening to your story, and I find it 100% applicable to anyone that's in media. I graduated from the Ohio Media School in 2017. I've been doing free work for films. I've been doing everything unrelated to sports, but getting into movies, networking with people, and sometimes just keeping, like you said, your voice active, even if it's a free voice, enables you when you're actually getting paid to kick it on and keep it going. So I've been producing films, doing all kinds of stuff. I work for a PEG Access studio during the day, and on nights and weekends, I do a lot of work that I've had connections. So I'm 100% behind your logic and your theory. And appreciate your outlook because it's pretty exact. This is what you do in that industry. Works also in the film industry. So for the rest of us online here, it's not just related to sports. If you want to get into film or other things, television, all that kind of stuff. So awesome story. I'm older than you, but I haven't been doing it as long as you have. But I really appreciate where you've gone, and I get the same kind of questions asked of me, and it's awesome. So congratulations. Good job. Keep it
Thank
up.
you.
Thank
Get
you,
another
Mark.
50 years.
And Linda, you can tell anyone too that if you can find me on social media, it's Sudsanity on Twitter, or you can I'm on Facebook as well. So if you want to have any other questions outside of here, my mailbox is usually always open.
Okay, you're so awesome, and we'll touch back with you. Thank you, and I know you've got to get going for tonight, but it's been
Yes.
wonderful. You're inspiring. Go at it. And for anybody who's on the call, if you want to stay on board and talk a little bit longer, feel free to stay on. And Ryan, make it an amazing night. You're awesome.
Thank you, Linda.
Thank you. Continued
bye.
success. Shine bright.
Thank you.
Okay, if anybody wants to, Hood, I guess we could open up the video if anybody has any additional questions or wanted to talk.
I see. I've never had to allow
I know, bear with
cameras
us, everybody.
within.
Who are we going to
within
talk
the-
to? You, Linda. You can talk to us.
Yeah, no, I just, you know what, I knew he had a hard deadline, and
Yeah.
he's so inspiring. I wish we would have had a little bigger crowd because he had so many great things to say. And Mark, I think you hit that nail on the head. You know, it's this is a way of life for everybody. It doesn't matter what the industry is, right? You need to find your way in, you know, and make it happen. So I love seeing you. I also, Stefan, is it Stefan or Stephen Ward?
Stefan.
Stefan, I'm so glad that I get to hear your voice because you're another one of my LinkedIn friends, and I'm glad to be able to hear you talk about what you're doing. It's been fun to watch what you're doing. So I just thought, you know, if anybody had any questions or, you know, wanted to engage in a conversation, we're here a little bit longer, and happy to chit chat a little bit.
And Linda, everyone should have camera access now if they do want to turn their cameras on.
Oh, good. Good. Feel free. I'd love to see all of your faces. So I'm kind of pushy that way. If you want to open your camera, I'd love that. Hi, Debbie.
I would
Hey
like to
there,
chime
how
in
are
on
you?
something.
It's like reunion time. It's good to see you guys. Oh, look how nice. Oh my gosh, Holly. It's so good to see you, Colorado kids. Nice to see you all. Thank you. So, you know, I know that he talked about teamwork online. Is there anybody on the call who's never heard of that? Because
I
that
use
that is
I
an
use it.
awesome
I had
resource.
never heard of it.
You've not heard of it before? Where are you at in your program? Are you currently in school?
I'm a audio engineering graduate.
Oh, well, that's so nice to have you here. That's wonderful. So Teamwork Online is a place that, you know, you can go to the website, open it up, get yourself onboarded. You know, you can sign up, you can load your resume, and you have the opportunity to look at all sorts of jobs that are available and internships that are available. And I have to say, you know, at this stage in the industry, there are a lot of open doors that may not have seemed so open pre-COVID. There seems to be more jobs than ever. You know, in my 4 years with the schools, I've never seen so many opportunities and so many opportunities for our graduates. So, you know, I would encourage anybody on the call to really stay connected with your career service director if you're alumni, and if you're not alumni, you know, feel free to reach out to us. We're happy to talk about our programs and the things that we do. But it's a great time to be seeking work in the industry.
Yes.
Go ahead,
Can I
Stefan. I'm sorry.
can I chime in on something? I'm sorry
Sure.
to interrupt you. I'm just going off my experience as well, and just open up on you saying there's a lot of opportunities on teamwork. There is a lot of opportunities. Even though I haven't used that, I use LinkedIn the most because it's a free service. I will admit, when it comes to Teamworks Online, they do want you to pay for the MVP services, which gives you more the opportunity to get called for those jobs first. Um, it's okay. Because I've applied for a lot of jobs on there where I knew I was qualified, but never got a response back. But I hit somebody up on Teamworks and say, "Hey, what's really going on here? I applied for 30 jobs and nothing's happening." Like, "Oh, you got to pay like for the MVP access." But yeah, that's just, and I'm pretty sure once you pay for it, you can get your money's worth because they will hit you up. But even though I don't pay for the MVP access, I still get letters, newsletters, and emails from them for so many job fairs, sports job fairs that's going around, whether it's in Detroit, over East California. So that is one perk about it. But the last thing I just want to add in for everybody is I feel like once you get yourself in the door, whereas anywhere, whether it's in television, radio, or sports, it's not do not say no. I don't think you should just take the initiative to learn any and everything because they will allow you to do it. I'm a photographer and an editor, but I've had so many instances with the job I have now, other than just shoot and film, but actually talk on air, actually produce segments, field produce. So if they see that you're dedicated and you're there, and if you're just there, they will give you those opportunities to do it. So that's, once you get in, just don't limit yourself.
That's such great advice. I really couldn't agree any more with you because I know as we bring great TV in or we bring Next Star TV in to talk to our students to graduates, there are so many opportunities. And I think that we all think it's limited to this type of person or that type of person. But, in the world we're living in now, if you show that propensity to want to be a learner, if you're coachable, if you say, yeah, let me see how to do that. Can you show me how to do that? I'd like to learn more about that. They've already invested in you, right? And so they would rather continue to invest in you education wise than to have to bring somebody else on and start all over. So I love that advice, Stefan. I think you're spot on. And as you talk about the sports area, I love what you say about LinkedIn as well. If you see where those opportunities are, use that search bar in LinkedIn, put that team in there, find out who's doing what on those teams, and make yourself the one that reaches out with a message, right? I mean, what's the worst thing that can happen? You don't hear back, but it's no different than applying online, right? You don't know what you don't know. And so I will tell you, for me today, I reached out to Gary V. Do you guys know who that is? Gary Vanderchuk. I would love him to come and talk to you guys. Will he? I don't know. He's kind of a big deal of a guy, but I sent him a message on LinkedIn. Maybe he'll respond, maybe he won't. But, nothing ventured, nothing gained. So great advice, Stefan.
Yeah, and I will just say too that I think every week I'll put 2 or 3 resumes out there. Um, I think I'm probably close to 100 or 150, and maybe I've gotten 2 replies. And some of them just don't reply at all. In fact, some of them I've had interviews over the phone, sometimes in person, and they ghost you and you don't get anything back. And something to keep in mind is those are the people in my position that will never go any further. It's the ones that say, hell no, I ain't giving up. And all I got to do is one person give me the damn yes. So I think about it all the time that every time I get a rejection or I get nothing, those are the people that aren't going to do anything. And I'm going to be the one that does something, even though I'm 60 old. I'm still going to be the one doing something that I am born to do. So if you're not born to do, get out.
Well,
Gotcha.
Mark,
Yeah.
take a second and just let the group know what it is that you do, because you've had a prolific start to your career in my eyes. You've not been at it all that long, and you're
No.
doing a beautiful job, not only with the work you're doing, but your use of LinkedIn and letting other people see it. So take the floor for a second.
Well, it's not about me, but it's about just the career path that
Yeah.
someone that spent some time at the school, learned from a lot of different kids and adults, and then and I've been able to be part of a film that was filmed in Cleveland that is all over the web right now. From that, I moved to Boston and found a group of people here. I'm on my 3rd or 4th Stephen King movie. Some of the stuff I work on weekends is absolutely free, and we call it going to the gym. And if you don't go to the gym, and I don't care if I'm not getting paid, that doesn't matter. I produce a lot of stuff, but I'm also audio guy, filming stuff. I whatever. Anyways, but it's all about just staying in the moment. Right now, our Stephen King movies are doing very well at all the festivals, and we don't make a dime when you do Stephen King stuff. But that's just what keeps us going. And there's another film we've done that may be a pilot, and I work at a place that allows me to take my vacation time. Unfortunately, I don't spend it with my wife or kids. I go and film a movie up in Maine, or I've been to New York and filmed in a blue screen studio. There's a movie that's been in the making now and post for about 3 years. But all of the stuff I've been able to do has been through networking. I mean, there's no question. It's people I know, and it's what you do that no one you think is watching that I then get another call back. And it's because I was paying attention. I was there. I provided something that everybody else didn't understand. I see what's going on set. I pay attention to what's needed, and I'll hand. It may be a drink. It may be the light in the right position. It may be, we were filming something in a medical place, and they had to keep resetting this medical device. And at one of the takes, they didn't reset it, and it wasn't my place to tell them that they didn't reset it. But I said, you need to reset that device. And they looked at me and they were just like, oh, this is pretty cool. Thanks. You're part of the team. And so it's just all the stuff that this is what I want to do. I didn't do it because I want to be famous. I didn't do it because my friends did it. I did it because I'm going to do this before I die. And I'm going to be the best I can be out there. And maybe I'll never do anything. I don't care. But I'm going to do this. I'm going to sweat. I'm going to do my thing. So the encouragement of everyone that I've met, and I still are friends and talk to or whatever, a lot of kids in Cleveland. I call them kids. They're under 30 or around 30. But I still talk to them. We still have I do their edits sometimes on their reels. I encourage them. Whatever. So it doesn't matter where I live. I live now in Boston, but we're all in this together. I'll help everyone. I'll help anyone. It's just great. It's just great to see this kind of stuff being done for alumni. So I guess I'll be alumni for the rest of my life. So you're stuck with me.
Guess what? You might have the floor if you want it, but yeah, you're pretty awesome. I've never met you in person because I think you came and you left and then I came. I don't know. We were two ships.
I feel like I
passing
know
in the
you,
night.
yeah, but
but we do. I mean, it's a beautiful thing, this virtual world, and when I look at this group, I thank you all for coming back and wanting to learn, because there is a lot to learn from each other. It's good stuff.
Yeah.
Does anybody else have anything they'd like to share tonight, or any questions that are on your mind as it relates to professional development?
I think that guy pulling his beard wants to say something.
Is that Matthew Harper? Is that who you're picking on?
I don't know who that is, but he's pulling his beard right now.
Yeah. Okay.
Linda, for some reason that raise hand function's not working for me. I don't know if it is for everybody, but hi everyone, I'm Rhonda Frazier. I really loved one of the things that we talked about, which was not burning bridges. He didn't say that, but he said that, right? I mean, when we're in the media industry, you're going to cross paths with people over and over and over again. So, being gracious, being helpful, like Mark just said, be there, be in the right places, but don't burn bridges. It's interesting in working in the schools, and Hood and Linda can probably, and Debbie can all share. Sometimes we get those students who they're so famous right now that they won't open up and listen, right? In their own mind, they're so famous that they can't hear what the instructor's offering or what this other student's offering. That's when you get yourself in trouble. You're always growing. You have to learn from other people, and don't burn those bridges, because you don't know. Maybe right now you're saying, oh, I don't want to be in sports at all. 3 months from now, you could be like, oh my God, look at this opportunity in sports. I'm going to do it. So don't burn those bridges, guys. Take everybody's advice and lessons.
That's good advice. And you really never know who's watching. Like that's another takeaway. You never know who's watching you do something, or how you do it, or how you help somebody else. There's so many times that an employer might see you helping somebody learn how to do something, And that makes you even more important in their eyes, not because you know how to do something, but because you're willing to help, right? You're in it for the team. So, you know, he didn't go really far into the fact that, you know, he could have been done at baseline, right? When he went down to Florida and he had lost that job up in Chicago, but he did the right thing. You know, he still called the operations manager and he said, "Hey, thanks," you know? And that's what it took, just a little bit of gratitude. Sometimes for all of us, we have to humble ourselves. And the coachable part, Rhonda, is such an important aspect, you know, for all of us. Sometimes taking criticism is difficult, you know, and separating yourself from the criticism, but really criticism is a gift. You know, whether you agree with the criticism that's given to you or not, it is a gift because it's somebody's reflection of how you're doing things. And it's what you choose to do with that that's going to make all the difference for you, you know?
I've been in
So,
the industry, school industry, everyone, for 36 years, and not a day
baby.
goes by that I don't learn something new. And sometimes it's from my own students,
Yeah.
right? Because you have to stay open-minded. Every day I learn something new, and it's so exciting. It makes it worth getting out of bed every day for, right? Because you know you're going to learn something new today. But you have to keep those minds open. You have to be very humble. Yep.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Anybody else have anything they want to add tonight? We went off script tonight, but it was fun in my eyes. Okay, Stefan's
Is this
typing.
gonna be done? Is this gonna be done every week, once a month, or how
Yeah,
often is this?
we do this bi-monthly, so twice a month we do this. There'll be another one 2 weeks from today. And you know, we like to focus on our alumni if they want to lead a session. We really look for our industry pros across the country, whether it's you know, the businesses that we work with, to come in and to share with you different kinds of knowledge in the industry that'll be beneficial to you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, we're glad that you're here. Did you attend one of our schools?
Yes, Cincinnati.
Oh, that's wonderful. Rhonda is your campus director.
Yep. And soon to graduate. I think I got like a month left, and that's what I was worrying about. If I graduate, am I kicked out? But you just said alumni, so I shall return.
We don't kick anybody out. I want to be very clear about that. No matter what we do, come back to campus, continue to thrive in our environment because it's your environment. And I think for creatives, when you stay away from an environment that's creative, you lose that
That's
yearning
right.
and that, you know, and
That's
let
right.
Lee Wagner assist you in finding that career start so that you feel, you know, that you have your foot in the door and you can kick it wide open.
That's right.
Yeah,
Appreciate
and
you.
And
Lee and I both will be on campus together Thursday. So stop by and say hi. You shouldn't wait until the day you graduate to meet your career services person. You should meet them at
Definitely.
orientation and bother them all the way through.
From here on out.
Here on out, sir.
Beautiful. It's beautiful.
Je-
I see Stefan
Jeremiah has
added
his
his,
hand up. Yeah. And I just wanted to jump in real fast
yeah.
too and just let everyone know, those of you that are on here registered for the webinar. So I will add you to my list of emails. And we send a reminder out, you know, a couple days before the webinar, just to let you know that it's coming up. Make sure to register. But Linda also posts it on all the social media platforms. So if you're not following us on Facebook or LinkedIn, make sure that you do so that you get notification of those. Jeremiah, go ahead.
I just had a quick question.
Sure.
If for some reason I move to Florida, can I go down to that school and ask them for help to find a job?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. We're down in Miami there, and of course, we're national. So,
Right.
you know, for everybody on the call, we have, if you're not aware, we have great connections with Great TV and Nextstar TV, which is over 200 stations with each of those great businesses. They're across the country, and there are entry-level positions, you know, that are available. Photographer Stefan is working as a photographer, videographer, and We have many, many success stories. And down in Florida, there's a lot of live entertainment opportunity down there as well. So, you'll just stay in touch, and everybody is here to assist you.
And Jeremiah, I would recommend that you connect with someone at your campus, either, career services or someone in education, and they can connect you with the person in Florida, or for anyone else that's moving, they can connect you to the right person at that campus.
I'm just asking. I just found out a friend of mine's husband actually graduated from, I believe, the Cincinnati one.
Okay.
But he lives here in Colorado, and she was asking me, like if I knew anybody, and I'm like, yeah, he can just come to our school and talk to, Mrs. Awesome Deborah Bird up there, who's amazing.
Yeah, she's right here. She's ready to serve.
I pay him a lot of money to say that.
Yes.
Thanks.
Deb, you got your hand up. Did you want to jump in?
Yeah, I just first of all, Jeremiah, remind me tomorrow that you were here so we can get you the internship credit for it. And then, hey, Linda and Hoda, I always want to thank you for everything that you do, because it was just so inspiring.
Ryan did an awesome job. Yeah, he was great. So
it was awesome. And guess what? Not everybody on the call knows this, but they call me LinkedIn Linda for a reason. And that's because I live on LinkedIn in order to find opportunity for everybody.
Yes, she does. She's almost the first one that likes stuff. Like, good
and
job,
I'm up
Mark.
at 6 a.m. every day looking and hunting and posting. So I don't usually do this, but if you want to turn on your cameras, I'd love to take a picture and make you my post tomorrow. So for anybody that's here, let's see what we have.
Yeah, we can't see ourselves though, so
You can't see you?
Well, I can see me in a little itty bitty box in the corner,
Right.
but I'm sure you can't see yourself.
I'm in an itty bitty box on the bottom corner.
Yeah. We all are, I think so.
In one way, shape, or form, right?
Wait a minute. I gotta. All right, almost ready.
Oh, that's very nice. Your hair looks good. Okay, give me a second. Hood is gonna do a screenshot, but I like to take an old-fashioned picture. So let me see what it looks like. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay.
Everybody.
You are all awesome.
Smiling. I'm gonna just stay. No.
You got it.
I hope that this was a little twist off the road, but it was helpful to everybody. And share the word if you're still in school, if you're on campus, if you're still in touch with people that are in your cohort and you're not, you're no longer on campus. We are really here to be of assistance, and we want to support our alumni and help you, on the path that you're on and meet you where you're at. And again, there has been so many success stories, with our graduates landing opportunities that are full-time and, really meaningful work in the areas they want to be in. And so I do love what Ryan said. Sometimes you just have to get your foot in that right door. It might not be the job that you're after, but get your foot in that door so everybody can get to know the types of things you love to do.